DraftKings.com PGA Show. Waste Management Phoenix Open, one of the best tournaments, especially early in the golf season. I am Ben Rasa. That is fantasy golf man Tim Frank. We're out of California. We're into Arizona. Not too bad. Good tournament upon us here.
Yeah, it is a good one. Good field, a little bit stronger than normal. I'm glad we are done with 2-course rotations. I don't really like that, especially when one of them is really easy and the other is really hard. That doesn't make much sense to me. Yeah, that's a good week. I think everybody likes this tournament.
They do. Part of it is because it gets out of control. That's not going to happen this year. There are fans. I think it's 5,000 people. So it's not going to be as electric, but you know what? I bet it'll feel pretty electric just considering we've had nobody. I'm excited to just see even light galleries maybe lining some of these fairways.
Yeah, it'll be nice to have some cheering when guys like hole a putt or something. That'll be interesting.
It will. It's been, you get so acclimated to it. But before we get into that, chat, what's up, everybody? Farmers. I don't know. It was weird. Reed, I'm not going to get into the old shenanigans. Like, I have no idea. I don't know the rules of golf well enough. I do know that when Reed gets into controversy, there is nobody I'd rather have to play the next round. He thrives on it. He is very impressive. Did you watch Sunday? I was pretty interested.
I did not watch much on Sunday. The Reed thing, it's interesting to me. Like, I don't care. People want to argue about the rules and whatnot. I just like the psychology behind like what he's doing. It is amazing to me.
Yeah.
Like, just like he keeps doing this off the wall stuff, questionable stuff. He knows everyone's watching. He knows there's cameras everywhere. He knows that he's being scrutinized more than anyone. And he just keeps doing stuff like this. And I just want to get inside his head and figure out like what is going on. Like there's some mental stuff going on there, but it's whatever. He looked great. One going away, so that doesn't really matter.
This reminds me a little. This is probably a bad comparison, but this is who I thought of when you said that. You remember when Grayson Allen had a string of tripping incidents, and it was just kept tripping. What are you doing? Like, how can you keep doing this? It reminds me of that.
Yes, I agree. I would even say though that Grayson Allen that was in the midst of a game, and it's like maybe just a reaction, but like seems like it's calculated. Like Reed, there's a lot of time. He knows what's going on. Like it's like I don't know. I would love to just get in his head and see if he's really trying to push the rules as far as he can. See if he can cheat and just try and talk his way out of it. I don't know. He reminds me of like a rich person that shoplifts like just to do it because they can. Like I don't even know why he's doing what he's doing, but whatever.
It's yeah, well, we're gonna see. This is other than that, you know, the big names, they played okay. They didn't get it done. Obviously Reed won. Rory faded a little. Rahm, Scott, a couple guys shot up the leaderboard. I do think that'll influence their ownership. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into Kevin Stadler, former champion here. He's probably a little tired from having to play all 4 rounds for a change last week. So we'll see that. But anything, I mean, I don't really have any major takeaways from Farmers other than, you know, we got to see some good golfers play some golf. Yeah.
You know, and I'm never one to really, you know, it was a week of golf. We have, you know, the stats, we have what we saw, but you know, I'm never one to really like make huge takeaways from one week. I try not to overreact to anything that we saw last week. So yeah, just another week.
Just another week, even though Grayson did make the cut. He lost 9 strokes putting, though, so that was bad. We'll see. He's down there.
He's still 6,100 this week. I don't know.
Trending. So this week, smaller field. Not that makes a huge difference, but it does make a difference. 132, I believe. 6-6 will be a little elevated. I think generally that makes people more apt to go stars and scrubs because you have so many guys in the 6s and you say, okay, it's slightly easier to get them through. Let's get into it though. Let's talk about this course, Tpc Scottsdale. We've seen it a bunch. I like it. You know, it's one that's got a little of everything, some gettable par 4s, some par 5s, some water, but nothing crazy. What do you make of the layout that we've seen time and time again?
Yeah, so it's 7,250 yard par 71. It's got the drivable par 4, extremely drivable. What is it, like sub 300 yards?
Yeah.
But like you said, I mean, it's got a little bit of everything we've seen. It's really weird. Like Webb Simpson has a great record here, but Bubba has a great record here. And it's like you won't find not only two guys on the opposite ends of the spectrum, but almost like two guys that only play well. With Webb, not so much, but like really have a type. And like Bubba seems to only play well at certain types of courses. Webb definitely excels at certain types of courses, and they're like complete opposites, yet they both play well here. It's an easier course. -17, -17, -18. Those are the winning scores the last 3 years. To me, I mean, driving distance, I think, is an advantage. We always say it's obviously an advantage every week. I think having length is important here. It's not everything, like we said. Webb, Ches Reavie, guys like that can get it done. So it's really kind of, I don't know, like a middle of the road type of track. I think length is an advantage, but you don't have to be long here. It's not an overly difficult course. It doesn't require a ton of scrambling. I don't know. It's sort of an easy test that really anybody can get it done here.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, it's weird because it's all true. I'm not disagreeing with literally any part of it, but at the same time, it also kind of forces, like you need to make some putts to go low enough. You do need to avoid the hazards here and there. It's pretty firm green. So like you can chip in a lot here. We see around the green, like guys can handle that. I don't know why Siwoo is so bad here. That's just a random thing because he's a good around the green player. But it's just, I think, a pretty fair test. Bermuda, well, I like it. I think this is what most courses I would like to see. It's got a little of everything. You can make up ground, but it's not, oh, my guy, he didn't have his 4th streak, so I'm out. Like, that's a little much. It'll be certainly easier than last week, though. Torrey South is a much tougher test, and to me caters to one specific type of player more than this does.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is really, I mean, it's just a good test. It's not overly difficult, but there's not like one part of the game that you really need to excel at. Like you said, a little bit of everything, not too hard, not too easy, right down the middle. So we're not nuking anybody from our player pool based on course fit this week.
Oh no, I'm nuking players from my player pool, just not because of that, just because of personal bias. All right, let's get into it. Like I said, I don't think this course bears a ton to break down because it's just very fair.
None of them do. None of the courses. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If you're spending a ton of time on the course, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you've got like heritage, and then you've got the anti-heritage where it's like, okay, these tracks have proven time and time again. This is not that, and we can rule that out. Isn't there a game theory argument that says you want a more balanced build, considering that the course is more balanced, therefore decreasing some volatility? This isn't Bermuda. No, I don't think that's a huge deal. There is a lot of game theory this week, but I think that's more a product of what we're about to talk about. To me, the pricing and the structure is just fair, and that creates not a lot of leverage. And let's get into the 10K range. There are 5 guys here, and I mean, it's not to say that you can't make a case for the top basically every week, but this week especially, ordering them 1 through 5, you could really do it multiple ways, and I wouldn't push back. I mean, how do you break down from Webb all the way up to Rahm, these 5 players?
Yeah, like you said, 5 good players, all playing great. Course fits, all of these guys. Any of the elite players, we're not really too worried about course fit. For me, I think Rory sticks out at 10-6. He just feels underpriced. Being $600 cheaper than Rahm, being cheaper than Xander in general, right around JT. But he's been good. I mean, he was 16th last week at Farmers, but he gained almost 6 strokes with the ball striking, and that's only in the 3 measured rounds. And actually, the short game was fine too. He was plus 1.8 with the short game, so I'm guessing he just didn't play well at the North Course where we don't have stats, the easier course. He shot 71, which not that great. But, I mean, he played well. The stats were good from last week, and he was 3rd on the European Tour 2 weeks ago. So he comes in playing well. He's never played here, but obviously he'll be fine in the course fit area. I just think he's underpriced. I don't think he should be cheaper than Xander. I don't think he should be $600 cheaper than Rahm. So he kind of sticks out to me. The other guys I would say are just appropriately priced. I guess I would favor JT next at 10-8. coming off the miscut in Europe, coming off the controversy, not making too much about that. He's got a good record here. I like him. But honestly, all of these guys have a great chance to win, have a great chance to play well. For me, Rory stuck out just via the price, and I also like JT, but you can make a case for any of these dudes.
You could. I think, and listen, I know when I say this, it's going to be dripping with probably bias, I guess, because to me, Xander is the one whose price I was a little confused about. I know he's a very good player. I thought he'd be north of 10K. I didn't think he'd be ahead of JT and Rory personally.
That doesn't make much sense to me.
Yeah, like he almost got cut. I mean, I know, and this is what these guys do. He almost got cut last week, and then he came in second, which is just typical Xander. He gained 5 strokes putting. He's been on fire with the putter. It's not to say his tee to green game is not good, because it is. It's just everything with him. He would probably be towards the back. Rory, listen, ownership will tell the tale a little. They're all going to be popular, but not everyone can be 30% owned up here. I think Rory will probably be towards the bottom of the ownership. I think Rahm is the safest. I mean, quote unquote, he loves this track. Arizona State guy. The back is fine. The clubs seem like no problem. He played well last week. I love this course for him. I would rather just go to Rahm or Rory, with JT probably third. Xander and Webb, to me, of the 5, listen, great players, just not my preference this week.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think we agree that Xander seems overpriced. Webb, expensive. He was 4th at Sony. The ball striking was okay, plus 1.7. But he wasn't good at the Tournament of Champions. 17th, lost a stroke with the ball striking. I believe the off the tee was just abysmal. So even though he plays well here, he just seems a little bit overpriced. In the 2 starts, I just haven't seen enough from him to say, 10-1 in this field. That's where I'm going. We generally see him, and I know I've gotten in trouble with this with guys like Finau in the last couple of weeks, but we generally see him excel in these fields where he is like, Wyndham, Harbor Town, where he's like the best player in a field at a course that he dominates at. And I know he's won here and has a great record. But I don't know. We don't see him go out and beat Rahm, Rory, JT, Xander too often. So, just not the best spot for Webb, in my opinion.
No. The other thing, and as Chad is bringing up, you can absolutely take 2 of these guys. It is really easy to build like that. So, I don't mind pairing. For me, it would be Rahm and 1, as Charlie's pointing out in chat. I'm 100% in line with that thinking. Like, I think Rahm's the safest. You want to mix it up, you get Rahm, Rory, Rahm, J. Those are all really good starting points. You're not going to find pushback from me. But if you do that, you squeeze the 9K range. And that's what I want to talk about now, because talking to the opposite of that, you could start in the 9s if you wanted to take a risk. I think that's a little much, but there are big time names. Decky is he was the king of this course. Berger is here, Sunjay, Harris English, Palmer. I want to start with Decky, though. Where do you think he's at? He's crushed here. He's gained 5 strokes on the approach, and every single time he's played, notwithstanding the withdraw. What do you make of him? Obviously, it's been a long time for Decky.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously loves this course. First, second, fourth. It was a heck of a 4-year run here. For me, it's just a little strange looking at the numbers. He was 53rd last week. He lost almost 3 strokes with the ball striking, so that's not positive. Then he was 19th at Sony, where he gained almost 10 strokes. Just amazing ball striking performance. And then he was awful at the Tournament of Champions, -1 ball striking. So for me, I'm not a big course history guy. I do, not that I don't think there's anything to it. I do think there's something to, wow, he really likes this place, good course fit. I'm into like the psychological, good vibes, good everything. But I just think it's like, over the public makes more of it. It's overvalued by the public, I guess is what I would say. So he's just going to be a little bit higher owned than I think he should be. He's a little bit more expensive than I think he should be. And the fact is, he's been kind of all over the place in the 3 starts. So it's not like he's coming in looking locked in. I think there's some question marks with how he's playing. I don't think I'm going to get there this week.
There's definitely question marks. I do, though. To see, when you look at massive results like this, 2 wins, a second, a fourth, 15th and a 16th in the last 2. And I expected to see, wow, he just dominated and he putted well. He didn't do anything. He lost strokes gained putting in 3 of those. He was even on 1 and he gained a couple strokes on the other 2. He has gained 6, 6, 8, 5, 6, and 6 in terms of the approach in these appearances. So there is something towards, and he's a good iron player, but he clearly loves the layout of this course. Can he come here and flip a switch? I don't think that that's a guarantee by any stretch, but I do get why he's priced where he is. And I don't think it's unreasonable to think that he comes here and finds it. It's been there 2 weeks ago. This was vintage Decky with the irons. So it's not like it's gone forever. It's just not nearly as consistent as it once was.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think he's appropriately priced. I just think you are paying for those finishes. There's some question marks as to how he's playing. And I mean, he's going to be owned. He's going to be popular just because of that course history. So yeah, I'm going to take a pass.
So speaking of popular, I think there's a chance that your boy, Daniel Berger, is the most popular play of the week. What do you make of him at 96? He does fit, there's no doubt, and he's been playing well. Just will you pay that price knowing that you're not going to be alone?
This range, just kill me now. I mean, Daniel Berger, Harris English, Ryan Palmer, if any of these guys do well, I'm going to be in trouble. I'm not going to play Berger. I mean, everything makes sense. If you look at the numbers, you look at the finishes, you look at where he plays well, it all makes sense. So the price, I don't have a problem with. For me, I just think long-term, I think Im is a better player. I think if we're looking down the road 1, 2, 3 years, I think we're looking at Im possibly being an elite player, and Berger, we're saying like this might have been like the apex of his career. Not that he's not going to be a good player for many years. I just think this might be the best Daniel Berger will see for his entire career. I mean, so long term, especially when you're talking about a $200 discount, ownership discount, I prefer Im. But I mean, we can't really, argue with the price. The ball striking has been good. The course history is good. We know he loves Bermuda tracks. We know he loves shorter tracks, non-par 72 tracks. It all makes sense. But yeah, I'm just not a huge Berger guy. It just feels like we're buying in at the top, and that doesn't mean that he can't play well. He certainly can, but long term, I just prefer Im over Berger.
I definitely prefer Im over Berger long term. I think this is a fine spot to go to Berger. He's just very consistent. He hasn't missed a cut since Memorial, just doing his thing. More questions to me is, how do you build? Do you want to start with him? I don't know about that. If he's your second man in, what is really above him? If it's like Rahm, Berger, I don't know if that's the answer. You're going to have to mix it up. So I like the play more than I like the build with him. Ryan Palmer, chat just asked about him. Listen, he's playing well. He did gain 8 strokes putting at Farmers. That's not a great sign for a bad putter. Ball striking is good enough, but the price to me is a little much.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say Berger, Palmer, and English. I'm putting all in the same boat. They're all playing great or playing well. You can see why they're priced where they are. But I just think all 3 of them are just kind of playing a little bit over their head, or historically, like where their baseline is. So, when we're talking about like a 1-week sample of will they play well this week? Yeah, well, maybe they could, maybe they couldn't. But just long term, I feel like we're kind of overpaying for all these guys. I would play Im. I wouldn't mind just playing Zalatoris at $9K. The guy looks like the real deal. He was 7th last week, gained 2.6. With the ball striking. I mean, we've just seen, good finish after good finish out of him. I don't love him, but in this range, I guess he'd be the second guy I would go to. I don't like this range at all. And you mentioned like a balanced build. I'm a fan of balanced builds in like majors or last week when it seems like we're getting kind of the second tier elite players. I don't like a balanced build when it's, Ryan Palmer and Harris English. That doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, that's more than fair. Listen, Will Zalatoris is good. How good? I don't think any of us know. Is this his type of course? I don't think we know that either. We're going to find out on the fly. I mean, I think he's a pretty good driver of the ball. Historically, from what we've seen, he's not a good putter. He did putt well last week, but he also, he gained across the board. So this is a course I don't worry about that as much because I don't think it matters. If you're good, you'll be fine here long term. He can handle it. But the guy that I want to bring up, my big leverage play of the week is Scottie Scheffler. 9,100, shot 65 on Thursday, shot 79 on Friday. One of the worst miscuts I can ever remember. I'm not going to spin that it's a good thing, but I will say clearly at some point he had it for 18 holes. Then he lost 4 strokes putting. The South course is a different animal. To me, this is more comparable, honestly, to the North. This is a young guy like Wolf, like Hovland. They're going to be ebbs and flows. And when I look at Scheffler long-term, he's still going to gain off the tee. Nobody's going to play him, obviously. And I think these guys are going to flip switches. So there's a huge range, and he starts it. We're going to cross over to the 8s in a second of guys that are just mega talents, but mega erratic and a lot of red flags. I can live with going to Scheffler this week off what was a bizarre 14, shot difference between Thursday and Friday.
Yeah, just another reason why I don't like the 2-course rotation, especially when they play drastically different. It just makes for a strange dynamic. A guy goes out and shoots 6-7 under and then shoots 80 or vice versa. I can see it. It's concerning because it wasn't just one poor finish. He missed a cut at American Express. 13 at Tournament of Champions, negative ball striking. But, a young guy, they're going to kind of be all over the board. So I can definitely see that if nobody's playing him this week.
Yeah, he's going to, again, ownership is important with these type of plays. So you got to keep that in mind. Other things you got to keep in mind, we're going to go to the 8K range, but I do want to say, chat, as always, it's good to see everybody. If you can hit the like button, we appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel. We have done it. We're over 50K, but that just means we're going to 51K and beyond. But you know what? It's not without saying thanks. I really am just stunned that we got there as fast as we did. And it's thanks to you guys. We are giving away 50 weekly passes. So if you've never been inside the ropes and you want to try, no better reason to do it now. We're giving 50 away. Just go to the Awesemo_com Twitter handle. You'll see the instructions there. All you got to do is follow the accounts. What do you got to do? You got to like the tweet and reply with your favorite Awesemo host. That should be me or Fantasy Golf Man.
I'm not really a host though. Am I? Yeah, can I be a host?
You could be a consolation prize.
All right.
It'll make you different. Anyway, we want to do that to give thanks to you guys because it's just been an incredible run. Make sure to do that. We also have free premium content, NBA projections, NHL projections. So again, so much going on here. And that's just on the DFS side. The betting side, a lot of things.
Dude, the Top Shot Slack channel is worth the price of admission right there.
Yeah, that's hashtag PrintFest. Can I make Kevin Stadler the pro for PGA giveaway? I'll put that on the list, my friend. All right. This is where I think the money could be made. 8K range. There's a lot of names. First of all, seeing Louis, I don't really understand. He's going to be 1% owned, so I think you could play him. But why is he 8,900?
I don't know. He was third here a couple of years ago. That's all I got for you.
All right. You got Brooks. You got Wolf, Ricky, Bubba. We'll start there because these names are worthy of their own range. Then we have lower 8Ks. I'll go one by one, honestly. Brooks and Wolf. I said one by one, then I grouped 2 guys in. Brooks and Wolf are not playing good. Wolf, do you worry that you think he gave up or you think he's hurt?
Okay, so that's interesting because before he withdrew, I actually saw people tweeting like, what is wrong with Wolf? Like, he doesn't look right. I saw that from multiple people. And then he withdrew and said he had a hand injury. So I'm more apt to lean to where he was actually hurt because people seem to think he looked hurt before he withdrew. So that's a little scary for me at 8,700.
What about Brooks, who obviously hurt? I mean, is he ever going to be the same? Because, the injuries have derailed him. He has not looked good.
He hasn't looked good. I guess I would prefer Brooks over Wolf. Brooks looked like he had it turned around, around the time of the Masters. At least we saw some signs, but we haven't seen any of those signs recently. American Express, Farmers. Yeah, he's a tough one. I don't think I like either of those guys this week.
Brooks is an interesting bet to me. He's sitting north of 50 to 1 Like I can live with that. I don't, if you told me you want to take a flyer on him, I get it. I think the miscut equity is too high. But then do you feel that much more confident? I think Ricky, I know I talk about him a lot, but he is one of the more confusing situations right now. He is getting it together, tee to green. This is the best he's looked in some time, and it's the worst he has looked putting that I can remember in a long time. He's another guy that dominates this course. His last win was at this course. He's done it all with the putter, but that's how he used to do it. What do you make of, are you encouraged by seeing the tee to green game be where it is, or are you discouraged saying his one useful thing is now out the window?
No, we know there's a ton of variance in putting. I love Ricky this week. I bet Ricky at 45-1. Okay. I think he's a great play this week. Like you said, the ball striking has been so good. Gained 4.5 strokes ball striking at Farmers and at American Express. And you have to keep in mind, we only have 3 measured rounds because both of those are 2 course rotations where we don't get the stats. So 4.5 at each of those places is great. You mentioned the course history. It's really, really good, but it doesn't feel like he's getting like the price bump or the odds bump that you would associate with the great course history. I don't know. The putting, it hasn't been good, but he's not just an okay putter. He's not a bad putter that we're hoping and praying like Luke List or Griot it comes around. This guy has like been an elite putter for a long time. So like 2 events with poor putting, I'm not concerned about at all. I love him this week. I think everything, the price, the odds, the ball striking, we're just waiting for that putter to just come around a little bit. I like Ricky a lot this week.
Since 2015 at this event, Ricky, worst putting performance was plus 2.5 on these greens. 4 of the 6 over 4 strokes. The guys just loved this course.
And keep in mind, Farmers was POA, American Express, not true Bermuda. I don't know. They have a mixture there, but it's like it's not like true Bermuda. Like here at Waste Management, it's like dormant Bermuda and all this other crap. But yeah, these are, just keep in mind, it's going to be a different putting surface as well. So,
yeah. And clearly he's liked it in the past. Regardless, it can flip. Ricky, he's confusing to me. I don't know exactly where his game is at. I'm going to do what I've been doing. I'm going to skeptically buy. I'm not going crazy. I'm not back to my old ways. It's in the player pool for sure. Working down, Bubba, Billy Ho, Woodland, Henley, Siwoo, Harmon. To me, this lower 8K range is not nearly as interesting as the upper 8Ks. Do you disagree? Do you like these guys? What do you do here?
I think Bubba is really interesting at 8,500 if people aren't going to play him. And I don't think people are going to play him because we haven't really seen him. He missed the cut last week. Besides that, he didn't play American Express, Sony. What's that?
It rained. He doesn't play in the Bubba just gives up in the rain.
Right. He's a flake. Like you kind of don't know what you're going to get when you get kind of like adverse conditions. But he's another guy that loves this course. He has 2 runners up. He has a 3rd. He has a 4th. He has a 5th. And we know he just plays well at the same courses, time and time again. It's like Riviera, Augusta, Travelers. Like he's got these handful of courses that he always plays well at. And, we know the upside is there. People aren't going to play him. He showed me a lot last year. The ball striking was good. He kind of gained some consistency. Kind of like Siwoo, although we've seen Bubba win and play well for years and years and years, but he kind of had lost that. But last year he kind of, got some things together. So I think if people are not going to play him, I think at 8,500, he's kind of a good low-owned play. But there's a little bit of risk there, but I wouldn't consider it the same amount of risk as guys like Brooks or guys like Wolf. But I think the upside is just as big or just as high as those guys.
His putter, again, that's really not that he's been stellar. But he also, keep in mind, we saw him at the Farmers. We got 1 measured round for Bubba in the past 2 months. So I don't know where he's at. We'll find out as we work. He's had success here. He can score, great scorer. We know that. Henley, Siwoo, what do you make though? I was a little stunned. Siwoo's course history is atrocious. I don't understand why that would be. He's missed the cut 3 times a 62nd and a 67th. Just awful here.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense because it fits in a little bit. I don't think it's like the prototypical course. I think he really excels at the super short courses.
Mm-hmm.
The ones where, RBC, places like that. This is a little more open, a little more driver heavy, but it's still, a Bermuda track where shorter guys can get it done. My explanation for his terrible records here and all the missed cuts is he has so many missed cuts in his career. I mean, you look back, he has just stretches on stretches of like tons of missed cuts in a row. So I wouldn't make too much of this. I think the course fit is fine. He was playing well. It's kind of like missed the cut at Torrey last week, which I think is a bad course fit for him coming off the win. It was a really tough spot for him. I don't love him, but I could definitely see a bounce back. I think there's, reasons to play him. I think the course fit is better than what the history would say. And I think the missed cut last week is pretty easily explained by the poor course fit and coming off a win.
Yeah, I get that aspect of it in the game theory side. Clearly, he's a better player than that history. I think you could blindly, him or Henley are fine. I'm not looking to go there though. I prefer working down, and let's go to it. Let's go to the 7K range here. There's some names. I think there's going to be 2 chalk guys right off the top. You've got Connors, you've got Max Homa. I like Max Homa a lot. I know he's going to be popular, but I liked him last week. He's playing well. Scottsdale, he lives there. Everything is good. I just need his off the tee game to be a little better, but historically that's not been a problem. Do you like them, or do you want to just go right to 1% Jason Day?
I played Jason Day. I played Jason Day last week, and it wasn't.
It was not work.
Pretty. No, it did not work. And I think last week was a place where he normally plays well. The course makes a lot of sense, needing length and around the green, and that just didn't work out. I like Connors over Homa.
Okay.
I don't really understand the price. I think he should be more expensive. T17 in 5 of his last 8, T24 better in 6 of his last 8. 6 straight starts where he's either gained 3 strokes with the ball striking or at a top 20 finish. He's got a mixture of a couple events that didn't have shot tracker, but 6 really good starts in a row, either looking at just how he finished on paper or the ball striking. I think 7,900. It's a good price. He just goes out and he strikes it solid, every single week, it seems like. He was 37th last week, but he gained, 4.6 over those 3 rounds. I just think, just so much consistency. It's like Griot, but he seems to just get a little bit more out of it than Griot every week, Instead of finishing T30, he's getting up into the top 20. I don't know.
Yeah, he has made real strides to be average around the green and average with the putter, and that is huge. Like, I can't stress enough how different that is. I have no problem with them. I do think in a week like this, to me, I didn't find a ton of like egregious price or anything like that. That Day is interesting just on if he's sub 5%, and it seems like he's going to be, I will have to have some interest there, just because I think that Day still has that ability for 4 rounds, maybe not long-term anymore with his health and whatnot, but like Day at 5% or Carlos Ortiz at like triple that, I can't justify that. Like, or do you just go to Sam Burns, who,
when you put it that way? Yeah, but it's like, boy, long term, it's really hard. I have a hard time like wrestling with like long term, just the names Jason Day versus Sam Burns. But it's like, or like, we're really only worried about this week. But if you tell me like, God, like, why would I play Burns over Jason Day? It doesn't make any sense. But sometimes you can get kind of like too wrapped up in like this long-term game and forget that we'd only really care about the next 4 rounds. But I like Burns. We all spout the same things I've been spouting, kind of a long-term buy. He was good last week, T18, the ball striking, nothing special. So, I like him in the long term. I would still prefer Connors over him.
Yeah, I think, again, this is where lineup construction is important. If you have some combination that's already different, I don't think you need to go to Jason Day unless for some reason you think that he's safe. But if you've started with Rahm and Berger and you're really Decky types and Ricky and guys that are going to garner some ownership, that could be a way to change it up. And Homa and Connors is not going to be the way to do that. Day might, Cam Champ might. I think that's a wild one. He's been terrible, but he's going to still gain off the tee. I don't mind blindly backing some of these guys because I truly think, like Wolf, when Cam Champ can turn it on any week, I doubt it's this week, but that doesn't mean it's impossible. And at 2% owned, what's the difference? You get 8%, you take leverage.
Yeah, and in the, again, we only have one round for him because he missed the cut, but he gained 3.2 with the ball striking in his round at the South Course last week. So yeah, try not to overreact. It's early in the season. You only have a couple starts. If a guy's missed a cut, it's like they're literally only talking about 4, 6, 8 round sample sizes. Not that huge. I can definitely see the reasons to play a guy like Champ. I'll go another direction. This is one of your guilty pleasures. Chris Kirk is kind of quietly playing well. 16th at American Express, gained 4.5. Again, that's only over the 3 rounds. Runner-up at Sony, gained 4.7 with the ball striking. And he started making strides at the end of last year, after the break that he took. But he won on the Korn Ferry Tour. We saw him kind of start to get things together. This is a course, he more of a Webb Simpson type. I think you'd like him on the shorter Bermuda tracks. I don't think he'll have any issues with this course. I mean, he's striking it well. He's a guy that I think both of us have always liked. And I really don't think people are going to go there. Not a flashy name, but the finishes and the stats behind those finishes in his 2 starts this year have been really, really good.
Yeah, I don't think people, and listen, it's been a long time for Chris Kirk in a lot of ways. But this guy's had a lot of success on tour. I think a lot more than people realize, like long-term. This is a player. So yeah. He's played Waste Management many, many, many times. He finds the weekend at a great clip. I have no problem. I'd rather play him than Spieth, obviously. Steele, I feel like you could be interested in Steele.
I don't think I'm going to play Steele, but I mean, there's a lot of reasons to play him. He's another one. He has a great course history. He's got 4 finishes at T6 or better. Great ball striking in the 2 starts this year. 21st at American Express, gained almost 6 strokes with the ball striking. He was 4th at Sony, gained almost 4 strokes with the ball striking. So he's another guy. He's just playing well. And it's like great course history, but it doesn't feel like we're paying for that course history. It's not like he's like 8,600 or something egregious. I mean, he's reasonably priced. He's playing good, and he likes it here. So yeah, I think he's a good play.
Yeah, I mean, the lower sevens where we're at now, there's just a lot of guys that either have, success in this part of the year on these type of tracks, just that they're not guys who are consistently there or consistently breakthrough, of course. This, though, I mean, the lower sevens, it's like 20 guys that all guilty pleasures. You got Griot, you got Benny On, Luke List is in there, Knox, Johnny Hu, which this is a much better course for, Wyndham Clark, who I just keep playing, Wise is in there, Straka is in there, Ches is in there. I don't, he's done some things here. Charlie Hoffman off the double withdraw is in here. I mean, there's all sorts of names. How do you decipher a range like this? Do you pick a couple? Do you go by the team? What's your strategy with so many flyers? Munoz?
Yeah, I just really try and narrow it down to a couple guys that I like. I mean, you just have to realize you're not going to be able to play everybody. So like you said, a good way to do it is if you're chalky up top, maybe you're going to want to take some flyers down here, lower owned guys. And if you're different at the top, if you're playing Brooks or you're playing somebody that nobody else is playing, you can go more chalky down here. But this is like a huge range. It's ridiculous that there's so many guys down here. I'm with you on Wyndham Clark. I think we just keep playing him. And right now, he's not killing you. I think it's almost a positive sign. It's a lot like with Siwoo or somebody. It's like we're playing him. He's not missing the cut. He's not burning you. And we just know that eventually he's going to break through. He might not win, but he's going to contend. Just, the talent level, the style of golf, it's kind of it's a high variance style. So I think you keep plugging away, especially when he's cheap. For me, I love Luke List at 7,200. I didn't like him last week, and he burned me. He played very well, finished 10th. I didn't like the course fit for him, didn't like him on the tough track. But I think this is a much better course fit. It's a course where length, he can use his length, but you don't need to bomb it, and it's not a tough course. That's what scared me last week, as I thought he'd be hacking out of the rough and trying to scramble all over the place. But this is a course where you can club it down. You can use your length, a little bit of both. But he was 10th last week at the Farmers, gained 7.6 ball striking. He was 21st at American Express, gained 6 with the ball striking. Missed the cut at Sony, but he gained 2 with the ball striking. So, I mean, he's striking it phenomenal, coming off 2 good finishes. The price, I mean, 7,200, I think, is a really good price for him. Just if you say he comes in with a 10th and a 21st in his last 2 starts. But I like the course fit. I like the way he's hitting it. Good score. I think he's probably my favorite play down here.
All of that makes sense. I don't mind the fit for Luke List. I know this sounds crazy because you want to see this. Him closing like that on Sunday is going to inflate his ownership a lot. And it was 1 round and it was great. Him and Sepp Straka, though, they had monster finishes last week. And I almost wish we didn't see that because List was trending this way anyway. I don't love that idea, but yes, Luke List, he fits what you want to do. He's obviously got to make some more putts, but you could say that about everyone. What do you, so good old Benny on, here we go. He came in 75th last week. He lost 8.5 strokes putting, which is not good. He is a very good scrambler, and I do think that helps here. He's had some major success at Waste Management, 2 top 10s in his 4 appearances, nothing worse than 23rd. What do you make of it? I mean, again, this is where course history meets. I don't think his recent form is a disaster, but it's certainly not great.
I didn't even know you could finish 75th anymore. I thought only 6.
Yeah, everyone made the cut because
not everyone. I managed to find some guys that didn't. Oh boy, I don't know. Yes, this is a stacked range. Like you said, he putted poorly, but he didn't strike it well either. He was -0.5, which isn't atrocious, but it wasn't like he was striping it and then putted awful. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to get there. I think it's a loaded range. If you would have struck it better last week, I think I'd have more interest. 7,300 is a decent price, but there's just so many names in here. I would have liked to see a little bit more out of him. I don't care that he lost 10 strokes putting, but if he would have done a lot of damage off the tee and on approach, I would have be a little bit more excited to play him this week.
The other thing I do want to just clarify with him, and I know what you mean when you say you don't care that he lost 10 strokes putting. The difference, though, between him and a guy like Ricky or some of these other guys is when he loses 10 strokes putting, it's somewhat, I mean, it's a lot, but it's expected that he's going to lose. When you see a good putter go cold for a little while, that's more important to me because it's okay, this could and should flip. Benny On may just never flip. He might gain 0 a couple of times, but there's no reason to think he's just suddenly going to start gaining.
But the good news is he's not going to be mentally scarred from the -10 putting because he's done it so many times. It's not like you have to worry about his mentality coming off of that.
He's in rhythm. What do you make before we get to the cheapies and take some final thoughts and bounce on that? And of course, tomorrow night, we'll get you the time. I believe it is 7:30 Eastern. Me and Jason Roslin breaking down all the players, answering your questions, tee times, weather, everything you need. That's what we do here. What do you make of, where's my guy here? It's amazing. I had it and I don't. Oh, Sebastian Munoz. That's why, because I clicked into him. Obviously, he was so hot to end the year. It hasn't been great. Do we go right back and start buying and building him back up? Or do you say, let me take a wait and see?
Yeah, I'm more of a wait and see with Munoz. I think he's a tough one, though, because we're not really sure how good he is, what his talent level's at, where was he last year? Was that his baseline, or was he just playing out of his mind? Mm-hmm. I tend to think he was playing out of his mind, but we really, he's a guy that kind of came out of the blue. It's not like somebody with a ton of amateur pedigree who we were watching. He just kind of came out of nowhere and started playing great. So, I tend to put him in the bucket of he seemed to be playing out of his mind last year, and now I'm expecting him to kind of come back to earth. So, yeah, I don't think I'll be playing him this week. Would I be surprised if he played well? No, but we're still trying to figure out what we're getting out of him. So I'm taking the wait and see approach.
Fair enough. Last couple guys, EVR is there. I'm kind of sick of him, not going to lie. I've tried. I think it's time for me to cut bait and wait and see. He just can't. I don't understand what this guy excels at. I think it's a hard course. It's not. I think it's an easy course. It's not that. That kind of narrows it down. What? I'd rather
I don't
play
know.
Charlie Hoffman.
What's up? I don't know. Is he still sponsored by Waste Management? Because this scares the crap out of me. If he's coming up, is Hoffman still sponsored by Waste Management? Like, is he just here because of the sponsorship? Because
so I want to at least try to defend what I think happened with Charlie Hoffman. All right, he withdrew 2 weeks ago. Whatever. Last week he played and there was a delay and he was not in contention to make the cut and he did not come back from the delay, which that is different to me. Like, guys do that all the time. Bubba does that basically every week. I think he's all right.
I would do it literally every time.
Why come back? Like he couldn't.
I am not waiting through this rain to play 4 holes and then go home again.
Pat Perez left Bermuda. He just left the island and he ended up making the cut. So
he didn't leave the island. He was just drinking and fishing somewhere on the island.
He went to the local hot spot.
Yeah.
Pat. I think you could go to Hoffman. I would rather go to Hoffman than EVR. Again, we're talking deep tournament plays. You got to be prepared, but it's also like it was cold and rainy. This is Scottsdale.
The optics of the double WD look a little shaky. But I get what you're saying, and I did think about that. You have to kind of, when there's a weather delay, these guys that are out of the mix tend to do that. Boy, I don't know. Going down from 6,900, your boy Fratelli T53 last week, but the ball striking was good, plus 2.8. Matt Jones, I don't know what's going on. I'm not a huge Matt Jones guy, but he's gained 2.3, 1.5, 2.8 in his last 3 starts, just strung together kind of 3 decent ball striking performances, T48, T21, T11. But I don't know, this upper 6 range, it's again, there's a lot of guys here. I guess we get to Kyle Stanley at 6,700. He was kind of like the first name that popped out to me.
All right. Well, the cheapies here, I do want to say, again, make sure to go to our Twitter account and get in the drawing for one of the weekly passes. Even if you don't, though, you should sign up, whether it's just a PGA pass or a platinum monthly. We certainly got baseball's coming, NBA in full swing. March Madness will be here. Matt Gajeski, myself, anyone else who knows what's going on, we are going to certainly craft content for that. Cannot wait for that. And obviously the Super Bowl, stay tuned. We've got coverage on coverage this week. Can't wait. It's really exciting times. And chat, you guys, as we said in the video, you make it so much fun to do these shows, and we really do appreciate it. You know what I appreciate? Charles. Come on now. What about Charles? God. What do you mean? He was good last week, and he did it in pure wizardry form, which is what I like to see. 3.2 with the putter, 2.2 around the green. I don't know. Charles kind of has that type of game to me.
He's just so far removed from
being good,
playing consistent good golf. I just don't know what to expect out of him. Like, I don't even remember like what types of courses. So he's won at Valspar. I know he had a pretty good record at Riviera, won the Masters. I don't know. It's just like, I'm confused by him. It's been like so long since we've seen him really playing well. I'm a little scared.
I don't know. Players, he's been like, I see some crossover to those. Like, I see some Sawgrass here. Not a ton, but I see it. Which is why I don't understand the Siwoo Kim thing. But
well, no one's going to play Charles. I can tell you that.
Yes. And again, listen, this is where we get, say you want Rahm and Rory. Well, what do? You're going to need 2, possibly 3 guys down here. I think Kyle Stanley makes a lot of sense. I played him last week. He's fantastic with the irons. Other people are going to see that, though. Do you go to Hahn, Varner, Redmond, guys that normally would be in the mid-7s, but their form is not allowing that?
Well, I killed James Hahn. I absolutely just murdered him by touting him, betting him last week. So no. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Redmond. I love Redmond. I mean, I feel like a broken record. I tout him almost every week. I guess I just don't understand this price. I know he hasn't played well to start the year. He was 70th at American Express. He missed the cut last week, but he struck it well at the South Course where we saw him. But I mean, just long term. So he's made, I counted. I went back and counted 37 career starts, all right, on the PGA Tour. He's got a top 4 finish in 4 of those 37 starts. Last year for the whole year, he's 30th off the tee. He was 11th on approach. one of the best ball strikers on tour, for the entire season. He's got off to a slow start here, but I mean, 6,600, this guy, big amateur pedigree at Clemson, won the U.S. Amateur. I don't understand the price. I'm not overreacting to, what is it now? He's played 6 rounds. I mean, I love him. I think he's well underpriced. He's my favorite play in the 6K range.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think I've said this time and time again with these young golfers, you're just not going to find too many guys that are just always on. And maybe Doc Redman has a big 2021. And if we see that, he's going to have to turn it. And this could be the start. And you're asking him to make a cut in a 132-man field. He scores well enough that if he makes the cut, he's going to be just fine. Do you look Ryan Moore? Ryan Moore's kind of interesting. I haven't seen enough, and he was hurt for so long. There are other names down here. Sam Ryder struck it well. Neesmith struck it well. Tom Lewis is a person. I don't really want to go to these guys. To me, this is what I'll say, and then I'll pass it to you. There is no rhyme or reason for if guys are 6,500 or 6,100. Like if I was forced into the low, I'd probably just go all the way down to guys like Robbie Shelton and Will Gordon at 63.
Yeah, I'm with you. Nobody really stuck out to me aside from Stanley and Redmond in like this middle 6 range. You mentioned Neesmith, you mentioned Ryder. Ryder gained almost 10 strokes with the ball striking last week, but that was kind of out of the blue. Yeah, not a lot here. We go all the way down to, the low 6 range and just throw a dart with some of those guys. I'm telling you, I would play Grayson Murray again at 6,100. I mean, he was 6K flat at Torrey Pines. This is at worse field, better course fit. He made the cut. We're building on something here. He's only 6,100. Plus, Arizona State was one of the 7 colleges he attended. So
9 strokes. He was worse than Benny on the greens.
Don't worry about that. Don't worry. A lot of variance involved in putting.
Yeah, there's no variant, but maybe Grayson will be banned from Twitter and he'll have more time to get on the practice green and work it out. Listen, being serious, I don't think it's that crazy. If you need to go down there, as much as I would like to say Kevin Stadler, Chad, it's not the answer. What about, 2 guys, and we're going to bounce on out of here. Is this crazy to think that Patty Harrington could be interesting?
It's not crazy because he played really well last week in, where were they? Abu Dhabi, Dubai, somewhere in the Middle East.
Correct.
It's not crazy. No, it's not. But
I just don't know if he can score enough. That's my big problem with him.
Yeah, I mean, he's cheap. He's coming off a good finish. I don't hate it. Nobody's going to play him. I'd probably just play Grayson Murray and take the T70 with -10 strokes putting, or you could play Davis Riley.
That's where
who won twice as many Korn Ferry Tour events as, or no, did Will Zalatoris even win a Korn Ferry Tour event? I don't even think he won, did he?
Infinitely more, probably.
Yeah, won infinitely more. Yeah, 2-time Korn Ferry Tour winner Davis Riley. I don't know. He's a young guy that I've kind of been watching. I was interested. Anybody that can win tournaments, I think, is interesting to me. Inconsistent, but won twice. Something there. Haven't really done anything on the PGA Tour, but he's just kind of a guy to keep an eye on.
Yeah, to me, keep an eye on him. If you're going to tell me I can get $200 more to Will Gordon and Robbie Shelton, I'm not saying they're much better than Davis Riley. They may be much worse than Davis Riley. I just know what I'm getting. Davis Riley might not even be good. We have no idea. He's shown some talent. He's flashed it. That was a while ago, though. So we'll see. And yeah, just to clarify,
the good thing about exploring the punts down here is there's actually a reason to punt with, so many good players 100%. Up top. Rahm, Rory, JT. I won't throw Xander in there because I don't want to see you roll your eyes, but there's options to pay up for.
There are, and as Ty in chat was just saying, like, is worse. The less golfers, though, it also lends itself to, like, you don't have to Grayson doesn't have to beat 80. He there's just less guys to compete with, and that helps everybody. But I think it helps the guys down here even more. So, it doesn't mean you can blindly jam, but you can be a little more aggressive. And I'm excited to dig into how I'm going to construct tomorrow night. Certainly, I'll have clarification on that. I do anticipate 2 north of 10K on several teams and going down for a pure punt and telling them, you know what? Give me a 45th and you score like you're in the top 20. And I that is great. I will live with that each and every day. It's just going to be, who is that? It's not Sean O'Hare. All right. Final thoughts before we get out of here. I really have nothing. I think that's the key. You're paying up for some big time players. You have a lot of options. We're going to see where ownership falls. I'm going to lean on Alex's tools as I always do. What you got? Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, stars and scrubs make sense for several reasons. First of all, a lot of stars, actual stars.
Real stars.
Second of all, smaller field, better chance to get 6 of 6. Third reason, the 9K range has terrible golfers in it. I think that will just make me want to jam into guys above 10 because we're not playing Berger, English, or Palmer.
Yeah, I like Berger more than you do, but other than that, I am in line. All right, chat. We have done it. A lot of good work here. I do actually feel better. I've worked through this field. It's a difficult one. One of the hardest builds so far of the PGA season in my mind. I think pricing is very sharp. We're going to duck on out of here, but obviously stay tuned. Coming up in a little bit, the NBA guys breaking everything you need on the hardwood. A lot of games tonight, a lot of big college games. So you should get in Slack, one of the many reasons. But on that note, thanks again. Hit that like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Twitter if you have any questions. Hope to see you guys soon. Good luck. See you guys tomorrow night.